This is the Tapped In Podcast, the podcast for beverage distributors that want to empower their sales team to drive business results. Welcome to the Tapped In Podcast, first episode, Sales and Strategies for Beer Distributors. Mikey, good to have you here. I'm Bud, your host, and today's topic is listen up, everybody. We'll be talking about a lot of stuff. I knew that would get you fired up. Mikey, we're going to figure out how this goes, but episode number 1 here today, what we're trying to do is have a little bit of fun, talk about sales and strategy for beer distributors. We're going to share a little bit about what we do in our daily lives, working for a company called BXP. And let's do some background first. So I'm Bud, I'm your host. I ran my family's beer distributorship for the last 15 years. And now I'm blessed with the opportunity to spend time with beer distributors and their sales reps, helping them sell more beer, write beer, more profits, all that good stuff. And that includes beer, wine, spirits, non-alcoholic, all the soda stuff that our clients sell as well. So we're kind of all over the map there too. And then also with me today, I have Mikey, as I like to affectionately call him, but officially Mike Hall. Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up? Yep, I'm Mike. Actually taught Bud how to drive a forklift.
Yes, you did.
Years and years and years ago. So yeah, I worked for the family distributor for 23 years. I started off in the warehouse and then pretty quickly became our operations manager and managed our operation. At that time, Bud came on and was just a young kid that wanted to play basketball with cans in the can crusher. And then, so after 10 years being an operations manager, and then Bud came in and was steering the ship, and I came over to sales management, where I was our SEC for a period of time, team lead, and I also managed our VXP program as well. So
I love it. Just a couple of beer guys talking about beer and the sales and distribution of beer. So what we do, what's fun about our job day in and day out, Mikey, now is that we go on site and we get to see clients in their markets. But as part of that is we also get to have some of the best food as well, because
sometimes we do.
Because so we get to actually have some of the best food. So this is in Princeton at, where was this place called, Mike? It was Wilburys?
Winberries,
yes. So old school bar in Princeton. We should have eaten there. Then we got bumped over. We got demoted from making decisions of food on our own. We went to Old Town Pub in another part of New Jersey. Those were $6 tacos. I got to see the Jersey Shore House. Mikey didn't get to see that. And then we ended with this place called, was it JoJo's Pizza, right?
JoJo's Pizza, yeah, it was great. It was actually an old house turned family restaurant, pizzeria, but everybody in Jersey said you can't leave Jersey until you go to JoJo's.
That place was incredible. I don't know how many pieces of pizza you had, Mikey, but every pizza is a personal pan pizza if you try hard and believe in yourself. And that's what I did that time.
Right. And Bob, you had it all wrong. It's not pizza, it's pie. I learned that it's bar pie.
Bar pie.
Got it.
It's delicious. It was absolutely killer. So as part of our jobs day in and day out, when we're out in the trade with clients, one of the things that we see is how sales reps are going out and selling beer and using strategy to do that. So one of the things that Mikey and I noticed this last week was some ideas around smart shelf optimization and actually using data in real time. Because what was fascinating about New Jersey, right, Mikey, is that they basically have no chains.
Yeah, the laws out there is you're not allowed to have 2 or more than 2 liquor licenses. So basically excludes all chains from selling alcohol.
Isn't that crazy? Absolutely crazy. Were you in any one of the brick stores, they call it, a type of store where it was bolted on like a Sam's Club or a Costco?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a large grocery store. And you had to exit the grocery store and then go next door. And they had a full alcohol, basically a liquor store. But yet again, that chain can only have 2 of those in the entire state. So
it's incredible. Well, I thought that was fascinating. So one of the fun things about watching our work and being in New Jersey this week is like, how do reps go about optimizing shelf space? And because they have free reign over all the points of distribution and all the shelf space and everything they're doing. So one of the couple of things that I saw this week was optimizing around some space. where we had multiple facings of maybe a slow or minimally rate of sale or turn skew. And we could downsize that, not take the whole thing out of the set, but downsize that and expand something next to it was out of stock or rejigger some shelves to make that work. Did you notice any of that too?
I did, yeah. When we were on site, we were really focusing on growing gross profit. So we were, looking at gross profit per CE a lot of times and identifying some of those more profitable items in the door. And when I was on site, one of the packaged liquor stores, basically, I would say three-quarters of a shelf of White Claw singles, which are A, profitable, and B, really good movers. And out of that three-quarters of the shelf, it was pretty much wiped out. I think there were 3 or 4 cans left, but there was 2 full slots of I won't call it out by name, but the higher ABV White Claw that just wasn't moving. So that's when we looked at it and we're like, all right, we need some more space here. We're obviously outgrowing what we have. So first we looked into going down to 1 row of the slower before we went to the manager and asked for more space because we wanted to optimize our space and make it as efficient as possible before going and asking for competitive space. And that's what really popped out, especially in the singles at that account.
I love it. You were utilizing thinking about turns and velocity, not just volume, but velocity, rate of sale out the store, and also profitability, which is really important because optimizing that set around profitability is something that none of our beer distributor is thinking about today, and something that we want to start to think about because there's so many different products that we're selling now at all variable different profit levels. I help with a reset, a little mini, I would call a mini slash micro reset as well, moving products around, getting the brand blocking right, and making sure we've got, the right profitability mix, even in the core items that we were selling. Think Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, and that kind of segment too. So there are even opportunities to kind of manage around that in the trade, which was fun. 19.2s too, right? I mean, single serves, you're in that huge independent channel. So single serves are a game that is played, that is growing, usually incredibly profitable for wholesalers too. I saw a 19.2, one of the brands on that Northeast Craft Brewery was like 5 or 6 cases a week in a store that I went to. I was like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. It's insane. At least from the market that we come from, right?
I know. Yeah. I was going to add to that. I mean, we come from a market, we're really depending on singles. So we have a really nicely developed singles section indoors. And, the last 2 or 3, actually 3 on sites that we were at across the country, just noticed really underdeveloped. Not a whole lot of focus on it, not a whole lot of belief in the singles category. So therefore, there weren't even, I guess, a lot of people trying. But I'm a huge believer in singles. Singles is a lot of incremental sales. I mean, yeah, you have your singles consumer that's going to walk in and buy 1, 2, 3, maybe even an armful of your singles, and that's what he came in there to do. But the majority of your customers are coming in and they're buying what they normally would buy, a 12-pack of whatever or a 6-pack of whatever, and then grabbing that 19.2 of IPA or grabbing that 19.2 of seltzer because yeah, they might have felt like an IPA and they might feel like a seltzer, but they're not committing to a whole 12-pack or 6-pack and dropping 12, $13 on a 6-pack of craft when you just feel like, I'll have one IPA and I'll finish out for night with the rest of my 6-pack. So there's a lot of incremental growth you can capture within the singles, especially the 19.2 category. And they usually all come with really good profitability.
Yeah, why do you think that is that, that some markets seem to not believe in the single serve? I mean, our business in Michigan was 20, what was it, 35% single serve at one point? I mean, I think that
Yeah.
was our high watermark. And we always noticed that the single serve business grew post 2008 and continued to grow like a pack size shift. Got much simpler, not simpler, got much smaller. Post 2008, we moved from a big 30-pack, 24-pack market into a 15-pack and single serve market. And we kind of followed it organically until, in the latter part of 2018, 19, where we got serious about it. And then, once we got serious about it, I think the whole complexion changed. So you're right. We always believed in it and still do believe in it. It's usually incremental profit. It's usually higher GP per CE than intra brand family stuff. I mean, we were in Oklahoma. We saw a value brand be double 24-ounce can GP per CE versus the 30 pack of that same brand. So I think that kind of thing is incredible to watch. We're not yet. It's just interesting. And do you think you have any instincts why? I just think it kind of goes by the wayside. It's like, who cares?
Yeah,
I'd rather just sell pallets of boxes.
I honestly didn't really put much thought into it until you just started mentioning it. But the first thing that came to mind, especially in Michigan, with our licensing, every gas station, every convenience store, every store can have a license. So we're really
Yeah.
saturated with licensees, which makes it easy to walk up to the store and grab a couple singles, drink them, walk up to the store, grab a couple singles, which we saw a lot. Right, you're not dropping a whole lot of money in that one purchase. You're spending a little bit at a time, but you're spending more money ultimately. But I think in some of these other states where they don't rely on that consumer, they don't really focus on it because now you are having to drive to the packaged liquor store. You're having to go out of your way. You're making it a trip, which when you actually make a trip and you actually get there, you're going to buy a bigger pack size, I guess, to stock your fridge. So in states like that, that's where I would capture the 19.2, where you're not reliant on that guy coming in a couple times a day and load up on singles because that's just what he drinks.
I'm also noticing across the visits that we've been making a new category of SKU called pounders or super suits, depending on who you talk to, 24, 16-ounce can. And the 24, 16-ounce can has typically been across the visits we've made a very, very unprofitable package, a dilutive package. Now, it's being strategically used on the shelf to compete intra-brand. Think Michelob Ultra versus Coors Light in certain markets. But what I find interesting about it is we're trying to coach the sales reps through, and this is the real strategy side of the conversation around this package. We want to try to coach the sales reps through. Yes, we want the package to be available as a strategic use in the marketplace, and we want to manage what those packages, like how we are marketing them and merchandise them. So not just a sales rep in this realm of let's get product sold and let's get product on the shelf. It's also sales and marketing. Like how are you going to market that brand? This includes maybe we're not focusing on displaying that pounder or that super suitcase. We're going to let that value shopper, that one who's looking for that ounce per ounce deal, find that in the cooler on their own. So you're going to make it available for purchase, right? But we're going to let them find that on their own. And then we're going to display cooler sticker, focus, merchandise, side stack, all those different things that we do in our industry around items that are incrementally more profitable for the shopper. So we can move, I like to talk about moving the shopper by 3 to 5% in our favor. That gets a better profitable result for the wholesaler and for the retailer too, because usually those higher profitable items can have a higher register ring and they're going to charge a flat 20, what is it, like 10, 15, 20% markup or margin pretty much universally across the board. Have you noticed any of that too, Mikey?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to your point on, I love the way you put it. You're going to make that shopper look for that package, which is exactly what you want to do. You don't want to help that shopper or that consumer put that in his cart when he wasn't planning on putting it in his cart. You want the consumer to put your most profitable package in that brand in their cart. And that's by shifting the way the shelf looks a little bit, maybe your less profitable items. I mean, definitely not having two facings of them, or maybe they're skinny instead of wide. And what you're trying to influence the shopper into buying is your more profitable item. That's what you're putting wide. That's what you're putting on the handle. Like you said it great. I mean, that consumer that's shopping for that price and that package is going to find it no matter where it's at. But the guy that hasn't really made up his mind, or woman who hasn't made up their mind on what they're going to buy, that's the influencing that you want to do by moving your more profitable items, whether it be eye level or wide, or you want to put their hand on that package.
Well, we've seen a lot of reps take advantage of these ideas. And even if they don't have as much power as they think they do in the store, or even if they don't have a market like in New Jersey, where it's basically exclusively independent driven, you can still make these minor tweaks. You can still make these smart shelf optimizations and get done what you want to get done in the market.
Yeah.
New
I-
topic.
Thinking
Um,
back to looking at 2 on-sites ago, I believe we were in Minnesota and we were looking at a door. It was a really nice package liquor store. So they had a lot and they had a solid half door of this particular brand that was kind of under the microscope for multiple distribution, right? Counting pods, making sure. And while we were looking through the profitability of what was in that door, and especially in that brand family, we had noticed that one of the packages was like 40% of what the whole entire brand was averaging for GP per CE. And the rep looked at me, he goes, "Well, I have to have it in here because I'm under the microscope for pods." I go, "Yeah, well, it's in here, but you don't have to force the consumer to buy it. You don't have to force their hand out. You want it to sell through at a reasonable rate, so you're not, losing finished product loss or having to go outdated, but you're also not wanting to influence the shopper into that." So, the 6 pack bottle, which was the next package over, was double the GP and per CE. So basically, we just went wide on 2 6 packs and
mm,
skinny on that less profitable package. It's still there. We're still going to sell it, but we're not forcing that consumer's hands on the less profitable item.
That's the nudge. It's a behavioral economics principle called a nudge. When you go to a buffet and they give you, you grab your plate and the first thing you go through is all the salads and then all the, other kind of ancillary vegetable stuff. They want to get you to fill up all your plate because at the back of the line, before you're at the back of the area, you're actually going to get a spot where that's where all the needs are. That's where all the expensive stuff is. So the high margin stuff is up front, fill up your plate. You go to the back half, that back half is actually dropping with the meats and everything. So that's
So you're
why we
gonna
got,
have to do the buffet of reverse order.
yeah, you do. If you're a smart consumer, you do. Or you
Yeah.
just skip the salad, the Ron Swanson, I don't eat my dinner's dinner.
Well, that's the Mike Call version is
There you go. The my call too. Yes. Yes. You are a picky eater, by the way.
I am. I'm surprised we haven't highlighted that in some of these food videos.
Oh man. So big news this week in the alcohol industry. We had Sazerac announce that they are acquiring Buzzball. This a little bit about Buzzball, founded by a school teacher, right, Mikey? Or a former school,
Yeah.
or I think former school teacher. I can only imagine why a school teacher would found a brand like Buzzball, but that makes sense to me looking at it from the outside. It's growing like a rocket ship. It's obviously been something that's been sold through a mixture of different wholesalers. We've got a mixture of the beer industry, beer distributors, the classic wine and spirits folks, kind of all over the place from what I can tell. And I mean, remember way back when they started showing up and it was like, what is this stuff? Like,
Yeah.
is anybody going to buy this?
Yep.
It's continued to grow, grind higher and higher. The question that I've got for beer distributors out there is that Buzzballs typically has high gross profit margin and incredible GP per CE. Sazerac's deal with the beer distributors that are out there is considerably lower margin. The GP per CE may still look high on paper, but the margin percentage is considerably lower. What do you think? Do you think that if Sazerac moves or looks to move distributors around, is this an opportunity for Sazerac to grow profitability for themselves at the expense of margin on the wholesaler tier?
I really hope so. And if Sazerac really wants the product to continue to perform like it has been, that's the move that they should take. I mean, you walk into a store and you see Buzzball all over, where it's never with the liquor. You don't go over to the liquor section and see all the Buzzballs, right? It's an incremental area, so it's at the counter. It's in a suction cup in the beer door because it's not a brand. Somebody's going to go shop. Somebody's not walking in the store to go buy Buzzball. They're walking past it and going, "Oh, what's this? This looks great." That has been and historically done because it's high GP. You want that extra ring. You don't have to sell a whole lot to make a whole lot on that product. I think it's in their best interest to keep it the way it is, but I guess we'll see. And I bet we will see the brand suffer a little bit too if they don't.
We'll see how they move. Alcohol laws with franchise protections across the country it'll probably be in many states difficult to move from house to house. So we'll probably see it stick for a little period of time while Sazerac works out the integration. I would bet that their manufacturing plants that they have across the country are probably going to make Buzzball incredibly efficient. and are probably going to make a lot, but they're probably going to incrementally add margin on their back end, whether they change networks or whether they move pricing around on the front end of the category or front end of the package as well. But you're right. It's a fast growing category. We see brands like Buzzball. We see brands like, I think Beatbox falls in that category too. Do you agree, Mikey?
I would agree. Yeah. Malt base, Fireball. Yeah. All of those incremental grabs. I call out the malt base because you can shove that into a convenience store that doesn't really have a liquor license. And that's usually in the hands of a beer distributor, which thinks a little bit different than a liquor distributor. So
What was a new brand we saw this week too?
Big Sips.
Big Sips.
Big Sips. Yeah. Right in line with Buzzball. I didn't.
It's the exact same thing. It's a copycat product, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't try them, but the flavors looked better to me. And they were a couple bucks cheaper. Whether the price reflects on the shelf is up to the retailer, but yeah, they were a couple dollars cheaper. Flavors were a little bit more approachable, at least to me. But I'm also not a big Buzzball consumer. I tried one once. That was enough.
Yeah, you're not just running down to the store and grabbing some Buzzball at night. I mean, Jamie is a teacher.
It is day one of spring break, so we might get a little rowdy.
And you've got how long of a drive in front of you? You're gonna take off
15-hour drive tonight. We're leaving at 1 a.m. So it's 1:30 p.m. right now.
You take off, drive down to Myrtle Beach and hang out, try to get out of the snow. You're gonna literally be driving out of snow too, aren't you?
Yeah, it's snowing crazy right now. We're supposed to pick up 7 inches today. Luckily, we won't have to drive in it for too long. But yeah, then we hit rain and hopefully the kids sleep in the car, and then we get there and it's going to be cold because it's not even going to be warm there. So we're driving 15 hours for more cold.
It's not supposed to be warm there?
60s, but it's better than 30s, 20s and 30s like it is here, but it's not like what you're used to down in Florida. It's not Florida weather.
Well, that will feel like a heat wave for you regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
Shorts and his tank top, I'm sure, regardless. Making fun of me and how, but it's cold. It was cold up in New Jersey this week.
It was chilly. It was chilly in New Jersey. It was not cold in Minnesota. Well, maybe I'll mix Buzzballs with my Red Bull so I can say, well, it can be a good co-pilot tonight.
Probably shouldn't talk about drinking and driving on the podcast.
Well, I'm the co-pilot and I drink.
Co-pilot. There you go. Good stuff. So I think that wraps up for episode 1, Mikey. For those listeners out there, thanks for joining us and listening to us. We're going to have some fun with this. Our commitment is to do this on a weekly basis and see how far we take this and how far this goes. We want to have some fun with it. So if you ever got any ideas, please reach out to us. You can email me, Bud, B-U-D, at EXPTech, or Mike is just Mike at EXPTech. It's EXPTECH.com. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know any ideas you want us to touch on or talk about as well. And I think until next time, Mikey, enjoy your drive.
Hey, I will. Enjoy the work.
Enjoy the work. Cheers. We'll talk soon.
Cheers.